get as absolutely targeted as you possibly can, down to the zip code level. So that's something that we do in Google Ads too, is, hey, what are the zip codes in your city that have the biggest homes and the more money? Run ads there first. Also, with your Facebook content, I would recommend either go short teaser, 30-second like picture of a beautiful landscape that you did in a house and be like, ooh, that's really nice. Like, click here to learn more. Do you find, is it female, the wife, that's making most of the landscape decisions to bring you guys in?
100%. Yeah.
If you're doing Facebook, target the females, target the wife homeowner who wants a better looking yard, wants better landscaping, right? And try to play off, that'll pull those strings and want to get her to spend money.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Green Industry Podcast. Our special guest today is up in the Buckeye State, and his name is Tim Warren, and he is the CEO, Tim?
Yeah, founder and CEO.
Okay, founder and CEO of Helium SEO. How is your morning going up in Ohio?
Paul, my morning's going great. It's been raining for 2 straight days, but other than that, man, can't complain. Love the weather up here in the Buckeye State. So I don't know if you're a Buckeye fan, but their football is pretty good.
Yeah, national champions. Now, I lived in Georgia for 15 years, and there was a player called Jeremiah Smith that went to Buford, and everyone was saying how good he was for so many years, and I just assumed he was going to go to Georgia, or maybe Nick Saban would steal him over to Alabama. How in the world did he go to Columbus, Ohio?
Man, he probably went to the Horseshoe and saw the 85,000 screaming fans. Is like, I want to play here. That's what happened. We got him.
Yeah, that is absolutely remarkable that you took him out of the South up into Big Ten country. How are you liking that national championship?
Oh, I mean, man, anytime your team wins, this, I probably shouldn't say this on the podcast. I'm going to alienate some people, but I'm a Duke fan, right? I'm from the same hometown as JJ Redick, so he went to Duke, and I started cheering for Duke. I'm from Roanoke, Virginia, which he's from Cave Spring. It's like right, in the same city. But anyway, so start cheering for Duke, and so anytime your team wins, man, it's like the best thing ever. What's nice about Ohio State, I'll say this: we don't win championships every year, but usually the team's pretty good, right? We don't have these like super up years and super down years where the team's just terrible and you got a losing record or whatever. So Ohio State usually, man, their football is phenomenal every year, and the crowd, the fans. I don't know if you've ever been to a game, but it's insane. Like the people are just cheering literally nonstop, and the Horseshoe fits like 80,000 people or something. It's a nuts place to go.
Yeah, it looked kind of chilly. I watched them play Tennessee, and I was like, that just looks cold. And then somehow they had to play Tennessee from the SEC, and then they had to go play Oregon out in the West, and then they had to go down to Texas and play Texas. How in the world? And then they had to play Notre Dame. They had like the craziest schedule, and they just crushed everyone.
I know, man. It's the Midwest, right? People are tough, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if that's what we're known for, but sure, we'll go with that.
It was quite the run. Well, and they do good marketing, man. I feel like their brand, Ohio State, Duke, those are very well marketed. I
think it's the biggest university in the nation now. It's like 75,000, 100 students, 100. It's like it's a huge number, but it's the biggest one, I think.
Yeah. Well, go Buckeyes there. So Tim, obviously now, do you like the Cincinnati Bengals too, Joe Burrow, or?
I'm a Bengals fan. You got to be, right? The hometown teams. We don't have an NBA team. I'd cheer for them. But yeah, I'm a Bengals fan for sure. Cincinnati Reds, big fan of that. Bengals were terrible for a long time. And now they're finally, once they got Burrow, we made it to a Super Bowl. We weren't able to convert, unfortunately. But Burrow has definitely changed the trajectory of the team, 100%.
Mm-hmm. So good. You can tell when someone's from Ohio, man, that you guys are passionate about football up there. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Tim is an expert on marketing and SEO. And in the lawn care and landscaping industry, there's a lot of mistakes being made. What are the biggest mistakes that lawn care business owners are making when it comes to their marketing and SEO?
Yeah, Paul, it's a really good question. So for those of you who are listening who don't know me or we haven't met before, my name is Tim, and I've been doing SEO for 12, 13 years now. So I've worked for, Fortune 500 companies all the way down to absolute startup businesses. Started a couple different companies. So I've been in the trenches. My business partner, Helium, actually, his first company was a lawn care business. Started mowing lawns. That's where he started. It's a great business. So very familiar. One of my specialties personally is working with landscapers. I love working with landscapers. I love the industry. I know the space. I'm passionate about good landscaping and outdoor lighting and retaining walls. And I've done a lot of that to my property and had landscapers. And so I love the business. And one thing that I see is there are definitely mistakes made consistently over and over and over again. Let me share some of those, Paul, and hopefully this will be helpful to listeners. The first mistake is there's a thing called a marketing funnel. And a lot of business owners don't know this. But if you look at a marketing funnel, you want to think about like a funnel where marbles go in. At the top, there's awareness marketing. Okay, that's radio, bus wraps, TV. You sponsor a Bengals game, you sponsor a Ohio State game, right? People are on the couch, they're watching football. They're not ready to buy landscaping services, right? But they see your brand and they're like, okay. And that sticks in what's called your limbic brain. So in your brain, you got the lizard or limbic brain in the middle. It remembers things, right? And it sees somebody as like, is that a friend or a foe? It sees a brand and remembers it, right? Well, studies have shown once you've seen a brand 7 times, you trust that brand just because you've seen it so many times, right? So awareness marketing is all about getting people to see your brand, but it doesn't make the phone ring right away. So one of the biggest mistakes landscaping business owners make is they spend money on awareness tactics, those high funnel, right? I would even put direct marketing or like direct mail and things like that in that category, door knockers maybe. But you're marketing your brand to most people who are not looking for you, right? They're busy doing something else. They're not looking for a landscaper. They throw your door knocker away, right? And then you go to there's middle of funnel, then there's bottom of funnel, right? The very bottom. The bottom of the funnel are people who are actively looking and ready to buy your services, okay? So that's like you're in the checkout line at Walmart, right? Where do they put the Snickers? Not at the back of the store. They put them right by the checkout so that your kid, right, grabs 2 Snickers and puts them on the little belt where you're not watching, and then you end up with 2 Snickers, right? It's the right at point of purchase, the impulsive buy. That's the person who's like, oh man, I don't like my landscaper. This sucks. They're not coming on time. And they go to Google and they type landscaper near me or highest rated landscaper. That person's looking to find and buy a solution, right? So that's called bottom of funnel. Mm-hmm. So bottom of funnel is like SEO, Google ads, GLSA, map ads. We'll talk Facebook ads in a minute, but that's direct point of purchase right there. So the biggest mistake people make is they will spend way too much of their budget on middle and high funnel channels like Facebook, paid social, bus wraps, radio, things like that. And then they don't see enough response from their marketing and they don't grow at a high enough rate. That's a huge mistake versus putting all of your money into the lowest funnel you possibly can. It will cap out. There's only so much SEO or ads you could do in one city. Cap that out first, like max those budgets, win there, then go high funnel. That's by far the biggest mistake. The second thing I would add on to that is not really understanding the channels you're trying to play in. So let's say you own a landscape company, right? And you're like, all right, I need to be on Facebook. I need to be on Instagram. I need to be on Meta. So you hire an agency to start running ads for you. But they don't really know your brand. And they don't really know your clientele and who you're going after. So they start creating ads and copy and content, but it just doesn't really work that well, right? I see this all the time. It just doesn't really hit. And the reason is because the content is just not really resonating with the audience, or you're running ads to the wrong people who don't even own homes. They live in apartments. They're not going to buy landscaping, right? So that's probably the second biggest mistake is running ads and doing the activities, but not really understanding targeting and how to create the right ad for the right platform. So it just kind of falls flat and you're spending money and not seeing results. And then you're wondering, does advertising work? Can I grow my business? It's a tough place to be in.
Very well said. Now, can you summarize the lowest funnels again?
Yes. So the low funnel, what we would say is first the Google suite. So the Google local service ads, which if you search like landscaping contractor, you're going to get, Google's going to have Google local service ads will say contractors, and it'll have the green check mark. That's the Google guaranteed. That's at the very top of Google. Start there. That prints money for landscapers, prints money because people see it and it's got this green check mark. So they feel like it's trusted by Google. It removes a lot of the fear and concern for buyers. Super important to be on that platform. Second one is Google Maps, the GBP, Google Business Places. Those are your Google Maps. And you can run ads in there, which a lot of people don't know. You can run map ads. So if you're in Cincinnati and you want to run ads in Northern Kentucky or 30 miles away, your map listing is not going to show because you're too far from the person searching. But you can run map ads and be the top listing wherever you want to be, anywhere in your city, if you buy the right ads. Then you've got SEO, which is everything below the ads, which is the organic section. All of those are direct response. Facebook and Instagram ads can be if targeted to the right people. But most of the time, we would say low funnel for landscapers is going to be everything Google.
So good. So good. I'm over here taking notes. So GLSA, Google Maps, SEO, that's where you get started.
That's where you get started. There are Google text ads too, Paul, and like Google has text and display ads. You got to look at each keyword, right? So if you search landscaper near me, you're probably not going to get GLSAs, the Google local service ads, but you probably get Google ads. Make sure you're there. If you search anything with a contractor term, Google determines what runs GLSA, right? It's just totally up to their algorithm. So what we recommend is Google each of the terms you want to rank for, like landscaping contractor, landscape architects, outdoor living, companies, landscaper near me. Google them and see what's showing up. Is it GLSAs, map ads, Google ads, SEO, and then target the activity, the channel by keyword. So that way you're not bidding against yourself. That's what we recommend, right? So if landscaper near me has Google ads, run Google ads. If it has GLSA, run GLSA. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, makes total sense. Well, I'm really curious your thoughts since you're an expert. Where do you see this thing going with the AI of ChatGPT and then the Google algorithm? Personally, Tim, I used to just Google everything. So
right,
golf courses near me or, restaurants near me, stuff like that. And I honestly now just use ChatGPT. So I'm asking ChatGPT everything. I don't even really use Google. It might be a dinosaur for me now because I just use ChatGPT for everything. So what are your thoughts about how the Google algorithm is handling this, the future of AI, ChatGPT, and most importantly, how does a small business owner take advantage of these changing times?
Paul, that's a really good question, and this is something that I've been talking to clients about in the last maybe 3 to 6 months because it's pretty new, right? I agree with you 100%. Like 2, 3, 4 years ago, it was just Google. You needed to go find something, you went to Google, right? We'd always joke when people say like, I'm going to research for a research paper. Like research means Google, right? Like I'm going to go Google this, right? It's like a verb now in the dictionary. But things have changed. So I was talking to my neighbor. My neighbor and I were chatting, just a couple weeks ago, and he's a financial guy. And he was like, hey, I used to use Google, if I'm looking for a mover or product or service or whatever. He's like, now I go to ChatGPT and ask it what it thinks. And then I will go to Google based on what I find on ChatGPT. And so we kind of talked about this idea of the modern buyer is dual screening. They've got ChatGPT or Claude or Grok open on one screen, and they've got Google open on the other, right? And I was like, yeah, that's actually really accurate. Like 130 million Americans use an AI tool every month, which is insane. Like half of America, right? With like 16 million or 13 million using them, like they define it as nearly all the time, right? Mm-hmm. So here's what I would encourage you guys to be thinking about as business owners. Number one, what are AI tools and why? What are they good for, right? Most of them, like take Grok or take ChatGPT, they won't make a direct commercial recommendation, right? So if I go to Google, I actually did this. I went to ChatGPT a couple of years ago. I needed a new landscaper for my house to mow my grass and take care of our house landscaping. And I went to ChatGPT and I was like, please recommend the best landscaper in Cincinnati. And it said, I cannot make commercial recommendations, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, if you go and you ask it, hey, who are the highest rated landscapers? It'll come back and actually give you highest rated landscapers, right? So I think it's trying to evolve. But here's the important takeaways. Number one, you have to be in the AIs now. People will go to them, and they're actually, what I've seen with my clients, some of the highest traffic growth to their website is from ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, all these AIs, and they convert at a way higher rate because their trust is way higher. Right. So imagine the buyer. So they go to ChatGPT. Hey, ChatGPT, who's the highest rated landscaper? And I'm trying to find a new landscaper. Who's the best rated landscaper in Cincinnati or in Sarasota? Right. it'll come back and give you 2 or 3 recommendations. Well, then if you go to Google and punch those in, or you click the link and go to their website, I already believe that this incredibly powerful tool who's done all the research gave me the best recommendation. So my trust is already super high. So I'm much more likely to convert into a lead on your website or call you than if I'm just randomly Googling and trying to decide who has real reviews and fake reviews. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely would not forget about the AIs. Don't think that they don't matter. They are a really important researching tool. Now, the thing you got to know about them is the AIs learn from Google. They learn from Google and Bing and the web. So if you want to show up in the AIs, there's no magic formula to optimizing for the AIs. You have to optimize Google. You have to do SEO, because whatever shows up on the web is what shows up in ChatGPT. It doesn't create stuff out of thin air. It just reads the web that exists.
Mm-hmm.
So SEO is more important than ever, because the code you put on your site, what you tell Grok, it believes. So just a quick example, if someone goes, in Sarasota, Florida, and searches top rated landscaper in Sarasota, well, it's going to just go and read the web, Google and Bing, and try to find who's the top rated landscaper. Well, imagine if in the JSON schema or the back end of your website, you put, we are the top rated landscaper in Sarasota for these reasons, boom, 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 boom. Well, Grok's going to find that code and it's just going to spit it back to the user. Oh, here is the top rated landscaper in Sarasota for these reasons. Boom, 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 boom. It doesn't think, it just regurgitates. So there's a really cool way you can show up in these, and we've done this for our clients, is look at what the searches are in the ChatGPTs of the world, and then put that in the code of your website for SEO, but for ChatGPT, it'll pull it, and then you show up in the AIs at the same time you show up in Google. It's like a huge win-win.
That is so good. You mentioned ChatGPT, Claude, Grok. Can you kind of explain what my audience is? A bunch of redneck, just guys mowing grass, lawn care. And when you start talking tech and stuff, it can go over some folks' heads. So somebody who's maybe thinking, you know what, I think I need to, learn more about AI. Can you kind of give us an elementary explanation of the different ones, and maybe what's the best one if someone wants to start trying out, an AI?
Yeah, totally. Okay, so Grok is like Twitter, Elon Musk. They created Grok, Grok. Just Google it and you'll get Grok. Super easy to sign up. It's Grok. A lot of people say Grok is the best one. I find Grok to be pretty good at, if you feed it data or ask it questions, like pretty technical stuff, right? It's pretty good at, and then it'll explain its logic and its recommendations. So Grok, you can just Google it and download it. It's totally free. Just sign up. That one's pretty good. ChatGPT is OpenAI. It's owned by Microsoft. So just, if you're anti-Microsoft, you won't like ChatGPT, whatever, but it's owned by Microsoft. ChatGPT is like the forerunner. So it's the 800-pound gorilla. It's the biggest one, the oldest one, I think the most heavily funded one. It's pretty good. If you wanted to write like a human, ChatGPT is not as good at that. Right. So if you're trying to create an article or a paper or something, ChatGPT is okay, but not the best. Claude, which is Claude, Claude, like a French name, I guess. Whatever. That's another one. I don't know who makes Claude. That's a good question. Claude is really good at writing like a human. So if you want someone to write your emails, you want someone to write a paper for you, you got some writing you got to do, I'd recommend using Claude. That one is it sounds very good. Sounds like a human. It's really, really, really good at that. And then ChatGPT is just good for like questions. People will go pepper it with questions. It's like, how much does the moon weigh? Right? How far are we from the sun? Like, stuff like that for your kids or whatever. ChatGPT is like amazing at giving those answers. The other thing you can do, it's fun to play around with, is there's tools like Midjourney and DALL-E now, and you can just go and feed it images. So a lot of people, for their marketing, they're like, hey, why pay for stock images on Getty? Let's go to Midjourney and ask it to create a attractive picture of a landscaping with a house and stuff in the back. It creates awesome images. They look really cool, and then you can use them on your website. You can use them in your marketing. Totally free, really cool tools.
That is so good. Thanks for the education. I'm taking all kind of notes here. So we have Grok, ChatGPT, which is OpenAI, and Claude.
Yes.
And the breakdown of the different ones. So
there's probably more, to be honest, but those are the three that I know and am familiar with.
Yeah. So for business owners who are new to maybe having a lawn care business, landscaping business, or they're just on a very, very tight budget, how do they build momentum with SEO?
Okay, really good question. I'm going to say something controversial here, which I didn't tell you ahead of time. If you have a really small budget and you're new and you want to get moving, I actually don't recommend you do SEO. And I'm going to tell you why. SEO is slow, it is powerful, but it's expensive and it takes a long time. Helium, we get about 8,000 visits a month to our website from Google now, from Google Organic. And do you know, Paul, I'll give you a guess. When we started the company, we were in Cincinnati. Now we got people all over the place. But we started in Cincinnati. We started doing SEO just for the term, like SEO Cincinnati. We just wanted local leads just for our own business. Do you know how long we did our own SEO? And we're like really good at it, right? You know how long it took us to get our first lead from Google doing SEO?
3 years?
12 months.
Okay, year.
Okay, yeah, a year. Okay, yeah, you had even less faith. 3 years. No, it took us 12 whole months. Okay, and the reason why is when we started, our website had really low domain rating, like no authority. It had very little content, and it took us 12 months of building content, building backlinks to build out authority until we finally got to like spot. I don't think we got a single lead, Paul, until we were on like page 1, spot 5, maybe spot 4 for SEO Cincinnati. Because people like just don't go past the top 5 or 6 spots, right? They're lazy. Like, why we don't go past the top, right? There's an old SEO joke, like where's the best place to hide a dead body? You know this one?
No.
Page 2 of Google. No one will ever find it.
That's good.
Yeah. So that's the only SEO joke I know. So, well, I guess I know another one, but I'll save that for later. But yeah, so it's like people just don't go to page 2. So the problem with SEO, when you're starting out, Paul, is it is very powerful. It works really well, but not until you're at the top. Until you're at the top, you get nothing. Like page 10, page 8, page 7, page 2, nothing. Bottom of page 1, nothing. Top of page 1, tons of traffic. So it's this like, it's really difficult to do SEO because people are paying up for it. And then they're just like, when is this thing going to work? And they eventually stop paying for it and then they drop off. So here's what I recommend. If you have a really small budget, start with Google Local Service Ads, GLSA. It has for one of our, for not one of ours, for our average landscaper we're working with, they're getting leads at about $34 a lead on Google Ads and GLSA. And you don't have to build all the content. You don't have to build the backlinks. It doesn't take 12 months. It's pretty much instantaneous. You turn it on and you start getting leads and traffic. I would start with Google Local Service Ads and Google Ads. And you can start with a shoestring budget. You can do it, $200, $300, $400 a month. And you don't have to do all the work SEO takes. You won't get long-term value. You turn off the ads and they're off, right? If you don't want to do ads and you want to try to get some organic going, focus on your Google Map listing. That is probably the better option because the Google Map algorithm, it works on number of reviews and distance to the searcher. So you won't show up across your whole city, right? You won't show across all of Boston or wherever, but you can show up in your part of Boston. Focus on getting a lot of reviews, add a lot of images, make your profile, like fill it out in every category, every way you possibly can. You will get calls off of that for people where you show up. That's probably the easiest, fastest way to get SEO going when you're new, and it's basically free. You don't have to pay anybody anything to do that. So if your budget's real small, I would start with your Google Business Places, your Google Maps. Then I would do GLSA, and then I would do SEO as the last step when you're really ready to invest over a 12 to 15 month period.
Very well said, Tim. Now, what kind of results does Helium SEO drive for landscaping businesses?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I've got a case study I wanted to share. We have a client called Cherry Hill. They're a landscaping company up in Minneapolis, up in Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul area. When they came to us, so we were running a Google ad, right? We run Google ads and SEO for our own business. They were looking for a provider, and he didn't want to go to one of the really big ones like Scorpion, because he knew they have tons and tons and tons of clients. He was just going to be a number. He wasn't going to get to work with an owner. he wanted to work with a more specialized firm. So he saw Helium's ad. He clicked on it. When we first talked to him, the owner's name was Michael. He's a great guy. He had 3 salespeople, and they were getting so few leads, like maybe 10 leads a month, that he when I got on the phone with him, he was like, "Hey, I'm going to probably have to let my sales guys go. I just don't have enough business for them. Like, things aren't going well." And so we started the conversation, said, "What do you need?" Right. And it's, are you doing GLSA? Are you doing Google ads? What's your budget? His budget was around $5,000 a month when we started. And it was like, all right, let's turn this thing around. So we turned on Google local service ads. We turned on Google ads. We didn't do SEO right out of the gate because I told, like, he said, I need leads now. And I was like, let's not do SEO. It's too slow. Let's not spend any money on that. Let's only spend money on what can get you leads today. In March, we drove him 214 leads. Wow. So many leads that I talked to him a couple of days ago, and he was like, dude, I've got the opposite problem now. He's like, I have so much business coming in. I need crews. I need trucks. He's like, either we have no leads and we're starving, or I have way more leads than I know what to do with. Right. But it's a good problem, right? That's the problem you want to have. Business is booming now. And what we did is we came in, and we reduced, he was paying $100 a lead, and we, not only 20x'd his leads, but we reduced the cost down. His average cost per lead now is $33 a lead. So the key there is, we're a Google Premier partner. We're in the top 3% of agencies. We have a really, really good team. We use a lot of technology, and we have a really good team who knows each platform really well. So you got to have a GLSA specialist on GLSA. You got to have a Google Ads specialist on Google Ads. You have to have an SEO specialist on SEO. A lot of agencies are either really small, and you're going to get one guy he doesn't know every single platform. He can't know all of those channels that well. You just can't, right? You can't be an expert golfer, baseball player, and basketball. Like Michael Jordan tried it, right? And it was like an awesome basketball player and a very average baseball player, right? You can only be an expert at one thing, really. The agency's huge, and you're getting somebody right out of college who's just using a software program. They're not really an expert. What's unique about Helium is, with our size, we're about 40 people. We have unique tech, but all the people we hire are like deep experts. A lot of the people have been doing SEO for 5-10 years. So you get to work with real experts who really know your business and who know what they're working on their channel extremely well. So that's why we drive such good results. But that's what we can do for our landscaping clients, man. We can help you, 5 or 10x or 20x your leads.
That's a fantastic testimonial. Well, Tim, I want you to explain, why is SEO such a powerful marketing tool, and how has SEO evolved over the years?
Yeah. I know I spent a lot of time early in the podcast, not dissing SEO, but telling people like not to do SEO. You got to think about SEO, Paul, like going to the gym. Right. The analogies I always use is, look, if you need really fast muscle growth, right, get steroids, right? Like they did a study, they took it was like average guys or whatever. And they had one group, they gave them steroids and told them to sit home on the couch and do nothing. And then they had other guys work out 5 days a week. The guys who got steroids and sat on the couch gained more muscle than the guys who ate protein, went to the gym 5 days a week. Like, steroids are incredibly powerful, right? Ads are like steroids, right? Google ads, GLSA, you just buy your way right to the top overnight and you get phone calls. It's super powerful. But the downside is you got to pay for every single click, every single lead. You turn off your ads and your traffic goes to zero. Your leads dry up instantly overnight, right? With SEO, it's slow, it's methodical. You have to build content every month. You have to build backlinks to the content. You have to work on the technical SEO, the schema of your site, so you show up in ChatGPT. Like, it's more expensive, it's more difficult, it's a more challenging thing. But Google does that on purpose because their whole algorithm is based on trust. Do they trust the websites at the top to be the best content for users? Because that's why people use Google, right? If the top results in Google sucked, people would go use Bing, or they'd use Opera, or they'd use Yahoo, or they'd use ChatGPT, or they just, they'd use other platforms. So Google's all about making sure those top sites are good. So it makes sense, right? When doing SEO, a couple of things you got to be aware of. Number one, it's a long-term game, right? if you're going to do SEO, I tell clients, people come to us and like, hey, I've got a $300 budget a month for SEO. And I say, just don't even bother. Just put that into Google Ads or take your wife out for a nice dinner. Don't spend that on SEO. $300 a month is not going to move the needle. You're just not going to, it's not enough firepower, right? So spend real money on it. Like SEO is going to take a couple grand each month to really do right, to build the links, build the content, optimize the pages, like all the stuff you got to be doing. It's expensive, but once you get to the top in the top 2 or 3 results, here's the beauty of SEO. You're going to be getting, right? I mean, there's 135,000 searches a month for the term landscaper near me in Google every month, right? 135,000, right? So if you take your city, right? If your city gets 5 or 10,000 of those, right? Whatever city that you're in, the top result in Google, usually the top organic, gets half of the traffic on the page, usually, most of the time. Okay. So if there's 5,000 searches a month in your city and you can get that top organic listing, that's 2,500 people a month coming to your site. It depends on what you offer, but if those people are relatively interested and you've got a good website, I mean, that can be hundreds and hundreds of leads every single month that you're not paying for clicks. You don't pay for any, you pay to get to the top of Google and that's it. You don't pay any clicks. Also, the longer you're at the top, you stay there, right? It's like you build a bunch of muscle and you don't have to go to the gym every single day. You just have to work out, once a week to maintain it. SEO is totally the same way. You put the work in to get to the top and then you don't have to pay nearly as much to maintain it, right? So if you can spend the work and the money to get to the top of Google organically, that is by far the cheapest ROI, like best ROI, cheapest marketing campaign you can do. But very few people ever get there because they're not willing to spend the money, put in the time, hire the right experts. So they kind of quit halfway through. So stick with it. But once you get to the top, it is one of the highest ROI channels, next to email marketing.
So good. One of my favorite email marketing guys that I've read all his books is Dan Kennedy. He's an Ohio boy. He's always talking about Ohio.
Dan Kennedy. Yep.
Well, Tim, explain your audits that you do, because you guys can come in and take a magnifying glass and look at how marketing is coming along. And then what does it actually look like to work with Helium SEO? If somebody's like, man, this Tim knows what he's talking about. I gotta hire Helium SEO. What's that onboarding process and what, just explain all of that, please.
Totally. Yeah, I would love to. So the crazy thing, Paul, is I'm one of the founders. We have 2 founders of Helium. I do know this stuff really well, but believe it or not, there's people at our company who know it way better than I do. We have Google local service ads experts who could run circles around me with their knowledge of the platform. So I know the whole big picture and I know it well, but we've got even better people at the company who you'd be working with every day who really know each of their channels super well. So that's the cool thing about Helium. Let's talk about what it looks to the audits and to work together for anybody who's interested. So for the audits, what we do, it's totally free. It's worth about $1,000 if what we were to do for you, if you were to pay us to, hey, can you please analyze my Facebook, my LinkedIn, my Meta, my Google local service ads, my GBP, my SEO, and analyze my top competitors. We would charge about $1,000 for that. We will offer that to you for free. You get to meet with a salesperson for about an hour. They're expert consultants, and this is what we do every day. Is all they do. And we look at your site, all of those channels. We analyze what's working, what's not working. You don't have to give us access to your Google ads. We can look at all using our third-party tools, like all just over Zoom or over the phone. We can do it with our tools. So you don't have to give us access to anything. And then the cool thing, Paul, is we can look at any of your competitors. So if you've got your site and you're wondering how this other competitor in town is doing, or 2 or 3 others, because we use these third-party tools, we can look at anybody's data and we can compare and contrast. Like, what are they spending? What ads are they running? What SEO are they doing? Like, where are they ranking? And it's really helpful to see, because if you're beating everybody in your city, right, then keep doing what you're doing, right? If you're getting beat by everybody in your city, then let's make some changes, right? So that's the cool thing. So if you're interested, there's absolutely you don't have to sign up for anything. That is completely free. And we sell by education. It's not a hard sell. It's not the timeshare, lock you in a room and call you every 2 days. That's not how we do it. We try to educate and inform and empower. And then we believe if we educate and give you all the information and all the knowledge and help people really understand what we do, that the right clients will say, let's work together. In terms of packages and programs, so Helium, we try to be very cost effective. Our campaigns, people hire us on a monthly retainer to run their marketing. Couple nice things with Helium. You don't have to sign long contracts. We do month to month, so you can sign up with Helium. You're not stuck in a long contract, which is really cool. Our beginner packages start at $1,500 a month. For those, we're only doing ads. Like, we're just focusing on Google local service ads, Google ads. That's actually where we started with Cherry Hill as well. Just budget was, his budget was tight and he was in tough spots. We're like, just start with our smallest package, man. That was our smallest package, and now they're getting 200 leads a month, right? It's nuts. Our bigger packages, so then we have packages around 2,500, 3,500, 4,500. We have packages kind of all the way up to the 6, 7, 8, 9 grand a month range, depending on what people want. But most of our clients are spending between 1,500 and 5,000 a month with us, and we're running their Google ads, their Google local service ads, their SEO, their Google Maps, their Facebook ads. We're running all of that. So it's just totally full service for them. And then all they need to do is handle the leads that are coming in, right? They're handling the phone calls, they're answering the calls, they're dealing with the leads, like they're handling all that, but we're just making the phone ring. So what we try to do, Paul, is we'll ask clients, like, what are your goals, right? Hey, what package should I get? Well, what are your goals? Do you want to add $1 million in revenue? Do you want to double in the next 2 years? How many leads do you need? We can actually work backwards from that, and help them understand what package they should probably go with, because we know what their cost for leads going to be, and ads, and we know what our fees are going to be. The other thing we can do too is say, what's your budget? And then we take the budget and we help split it up over what we'd recommend, for their city, for their competitors, for their cost per click in their market. I didn't mention this, but with Google platform on the back end as a Google partner, we can go in and see exactly what every cost per click is. So we know how much GLSA is going to cost. We know how much Google ads is going to cost. We know how much Facebook ads are going to cost. So if you tell us, hey, my budget's $4 grand a month, we can tell you exactly how many times your ad can run each month in Google and each platform. It's pretty cool. So then you can pick, right? You're like, I want to run 25% of the time. Okay, you need this budget. I want to run 100% of the time. Okay, you need this budget. So it's pretty scientific, but that's how it looks like to work with Helium. And then even though we do month to month, our average client is with us for over 30 months. Right. So we try to build long-term relationships, not because you're stuck in a contract, but because you love the team and you're getting good results.
That's so good. Well, is there anything we're leaving out here, Tim, that needs addressed? I know you've covered a lot here on marketing.
No, if we also have ebooks. So if you got anybody who's listening to the podcast and they're like, oh, this is great, but I want to learn more before talking to somebody, we have ebooks on how Facebook ads work and how Google ads work and how SEO works. We've got content on search engine land. We're authors for search engine land. So for your listeners out there who are like, I want to just learn more, feel free to visit our website, or you can ping me directly. I'd be happy to send you ebooks just to keep learning. Once again, we want to empower that learning journey. And the other thing I would say, Paul, we haven't really hit on Facebook ads, but I wanted to throw one more thing out there. Facebook ads can absolutely work for landscaping companies. They totally can. But you gotta get the targeting right. Try to go to the higher income audiences in your city, because they're more likely to have the better landscaping jobs and the retaining wall jobs and the higher end jobs. Don't run to everybody. And also make sure you view Facebook as a middle funnel. It's not a low funnel, because people are on Facebook looking at pictures of ex-girlfriends or whatever, right? Whatever you're doing on Facebook, right? You're not going to Facebook to look for a landscaper. So it's not a low funnel, but it is a middle funnel. You can get people who are kind of interested and then try to get them into the low funnel. So just Facebook ads, I don't want to diss them. They can work pretty well. Just don't rely on them 100% for your leads, and view them more as kind of a middle of funnel activity.
Got it. Can you tell us a little bit more about Facebook, the mistakes that are made? And because you can really micro target if there's a specific neighborhood that you want, we talk on the podcast all the time, Tim, about route density. Like the last thing you want to do is be driving all around Cincinnati or Atlanta or Tampa or wherever you're from. So how can you run ads on Facebook, like you don't want to just boost a post. That'd be wasting money. How do you like get
Right.
in there and micro target the actual street that you want a customer on?
Yeah, that's a great question. We could even do a whole podcast on that and get Brandon Swayze on our team, who's like social media extraordinaire, to talk through that. But make sure you're doing lookalike audiences, right? So get some good conversions that you know of, and then do lookalike audiences. Try to feed it the algorithm with your best potential customers. You can actually feed and create lookalike audiences. You can go into your database and come back with like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and here's their address, and here's their household income, and here's their demographics, and like feed it that. So creating lookalike audiences is really important. But then with Facebook and with Google, get as absolutely targeted as you possibly can. Right down to the zip code level. So that's something that we do in Google Ads too, is, hey, what are the zip codes in your city that have the biggest homes and the most money? Run ads there first, right? They're gonna have the best jobs, right? Oh, people make that mistake all the time. Like, oh, I'm gonna run in all of Cincinnati. You don't want jobs in all of Cincinnati. You want jobs in the really nice areas, right? Mm-hmm. So 100% agree with that. Also with your Facebook content, I would recommend either go short teaser, like, a 30-second like picture of a beautiful landscape that you did in a house and be like, ooh, that's really nice. Like, click here to learn more. Or I'd go really long form content, right? That's like the whole, like the 10-minute video of like the stop start imagery of like everything you did on the house or whatever. I wanted to ask you this. Do you find, is it the female, the wife, that's making most of the landscape decisions to bring you guys in?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's my experience as well too. Target the females, right? If you're doing Facebook, target the wife homeowner who wants a better looking yard, wants better landscaping, right? And try to play off like, look what Mrs. Jones did down the street, right? Mm-hmm. That'll pull those strings and want to get her to spend money. So if you can create that kind of content where it's like, hey, we're in this suburb, and here's what we're doing, and here's what we did for this, in this area, and this we did for this lady, and blah 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 blah. And then run ads to other ladies in that geo-targeted area. That's going to be super effective.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate your time, Tim, and your assistant, Danielle. She's been great to communicate with. So please have her send me whatever link you want folks who want to click on the Helium SEO link to take, I don't know if you have just a regular website or a landing page, and then have her send me your logo. And we'll take all these clips and nuggets that you shared about on today's podcast, and we'll clip that up in Instagram Reels,
totally,
TikToks, YouTube Shorts, Facebook Reels, and you provided us. I've been writing down all the timestamps. We'll have a whole bunch of videos, because these are your answers were so good. And also, I got at the top of the broadcast, I got confused. When I lived in Georgia, Travis Hunter went to Collins Hill High School, because I lived in Atlanta.
Oh, so yeah,
we had Travis Hunter. He went to Collins Hill, and then Caleb Downs, that's who went to Buford, and then Jeremiah Smith, he lived down here in Florida. But anyway, there's all these great players, is my point, and somehow Ohio State comes down into the heart of SEC country and steals them. Recruit these, like, everyone's talking about these kids, like,
yeah,
and then Ohio State just comes down and gets them. So they're doing something right.
No, man, that's awesome. And to answer your last question, what we can do, man, and like, feel free to put my info like on the podcast, like my email, my cell number, like I'm totally reachable for these guys. I'm not worried about any of that stuff. So just have them contact me directly. I'm sure for people listening, they're like, I want to talk to that guy. Great. Here's my email. Here's my cell number. I'd love to meet with them directly. We also have a dedicated landing page that we can use for your podcast, which is literally our landscaper page. So that would be the perfect place, where the whole page is literally optimized for landscaping and the content and everything. So it's perfect for them. We can use that as the page as well too.
Cool.
That way they don't just end up on our main site and they're kind of confused where to go or whatever. So I think we could do that. And then if people want ebooks, what we can do too is just have them shoot me an email that says ebook, whatever, right? And we can send them our ebook, our meta ebook, right? Or our SEO ebook or e-commerce ebook, or like whatever. I can send them ebooks. So happy to do that as well too. But I think just give them my information, have them reach out to me directly, and then I can answer whatever questions they have, start those relationships.
Okay. Well, that sounds great. Well, I really appreciate it. So thank you for your time, Tim.